Today is the day the Baltimore Ravens are going to add a potential star to their team. I know it's not guaranteed. Obviously, you could miss on your first round pick. There could be an injury or whatever. But for the most part, the Ravens have hit on all of their first round picks in recent memory. So odds are the Ravens add some serious juice to their team tonight. And there are a lot of quality options at pick 27. It really depends how the board falls, but the majority of the top mock drafts have the Ravens taking Georgia safety Malachi Starks. Mock drafts from Mel Kiper, Field Yates, Todd McShay, and Matt Miller all have the Ravens taking Malachi Starks. Now, obviously, these are just mock drafts, but I do like to look for common themes, and the majority of mock drafts right now have the Ravens taking Malachi Starks. I personally am not sure if he's going to fall to the Ravens. I think that he deserves to go higher than 27, but I think the Ravens are in a great position where there's a lot of quality depth towards the back end of that first round that someone is going to fall to them, which is exactly what happened last year with Nate Wiggins. Nate Wiggins should have went way higher than he did, and the Ravens got a steal. So I think the Ravens are going to sit back at 27 most likely and wait for that steal to fall. If that's Malachi Starks, I think that they do pick Malachi Starks. We need a true free safety that can roam in the back end, and we can be freed up to move Kyle around. I know we're bringing our Darius back, but our Darius will still have a role. We'll still use him, and he's only on a one-year deal anyway, so bringing in a long-term safety is not a bad idea. It frees Kyle up for a long time. And speaking of safeties and Kyle Hamilton, the market just got reset again. The Lions and all-pro safety Kirby Joseph reached an agreement on an extension that makes him the highest paid safety in NFL history. He got a 4-year, $86 million deal, which comes out to $21.5 per year. We know Kyle Hamilton is in his final year of his rookie contract. We'll see if the Ravens pick up his 5th-year option. I think that they probably will because it's only $18 million. And as you can see, the top of the safety market is $21.5 million per year now. I think Kyle surpasses this anyway, but I still see the path of, unless they get an extension done in these next 2 weeks or week and a half, I still see the path being pick up Kyle's 5th-year option because it is cheaper. And if you guys can't come to an extension this year, then regardless, we have Kyle Hamilton next year for cheaper than the top safety value, because whenever Kyle Hamilton's contract gets signed, he will be the top paid safety. He will break $21.5 million. I don't know by how much, but Kyle Hamilton will probably blow those numbers out of the water. So the safety market got reset, yes, but I still think Kyle Hamilton was going to reset it way higher than that anyway. So Kyle will become the highest paid safety. Just don't know when. I don't know if it'll be this offseason or next. The Ravens would be in a better spot if they could get it done early, because they can obviously save cap room. You can lower that cap hit by creating signing bonuses and things like that. If you pick up the 5th-year option or franchise tag him, it's a full cap hit. You can't manipulate the numbers. So we obviously would want to get him done to an extension, and it'd be cheaper to sign him right now than it would be next year. The market always goes up. The salary cap is always going up. Players are being paid more, so Kyle Hamilton's probably in no rush. He's like, pick up the 5th-year option, sign me next year, it'll be even more. But the Ravens would be smart to get it done this offseason. And back to the draft, Malachi Starks would be an incredible fit. I think that would be a steal at 27. The Ravens do need a long-term safety, especially true free safety, that can free Kyle up. So I would not be mad at this pick at all. I think it's a steal. Another top mock draft guy who used to work for the Ravens, Daniel Jeremiah, who has guessed the Ravens pick before, projected that the Ravens take Kenneth Grant, D tackle from Michigan. I was surprised by this one a little bit. Not that I don't like Grant. I definitely do. I've just been doing a lot of mock drafts myself, and he falls to the 2nd round sometimes. So I guess that's probably my own bias from doing those simulators that aren't even realistic anyway, that everyone does. But I think Kenneth Grant is an incredible player. It seems high to get him at 27, but I think my mind's twisted from doing those simulator mock drafts where he always falls. And if you look at the rest of Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft, Malachi Starks and Ezaraku and a lot of guys that are mocked to the Ravens at 27 were already taken. So if that's the case, if a lot of guys that the Ravens like are off the board, then maybe a guy like Kenneth Grant makes sense. I still feel like it's a little early, but I definitely don't think that Kenneth Grant's a bad player, and the Ravens need to beef up the trenches on both sides of the ball, so that wouldn't be a bad pick. Peter Schrager has the Ravens beefing up the trenches on the other side of the ball and has the Ravens getting Josh Simmons, tackle from Ohio State. He's coming off a torn patellar tendon in October, so that would be the only reason that this guy would fall, but he's a potential star offensive lineman. He's really a tackle, but I think he can definitely play guard, so if he came into the Ravens, he probably would compete at left guard, and then whenever Ronnie Stanley's contract ends or we move on from him, I think he would then be our future left tackle or even right tackle. We know Roger Rosengarten can play left tackle too, so I think Josh Simmons would be a temporary guard for a few years and then be our future tackle as well, and as long as he can stay healthy and rebound off that injury, I think this would be an absolute home run. I mean, I am totally down with beefing up this offensive line, and Josh Simmons would be a steal at 27. He honestly should not fall this far. I'd be happy with the Ravens taking anyone that they like to beef up these trenches, add offensive line competition, especially at the guard spot. I know he's a tackle, but he'll be a tackle in the future. He'd be a guard right now. A few other names that are tossed around to the Ravens at 27. Bucky Brooks has them taking Mikael Williams. Chris Sims has them getting Donovan Ezaraku. I've seen mock drafts with Derek Harmon, Trey Amos, Tyler Booker, Greg Zabel. I'm pretty sure a few of these guys will be available at 27. I'm not sure exactly how the Ravens board is stacked or what they're preferring exactly. I know they don't always draft off position of need, so whoever their best player available is on their board, but it's probably going to fit one of these needs, edge rusher, safety, outside corner, offensive lineman, D-tackle. I think that these are the Ravens' main needs, especially early in the draft. So I would assume their first-round selection is at one of these positions. Who knows? It could be a name that nobody's even talking about. But I'm happy if the Ravens get anyone from these list of names that I'm throwing out there. I think that there's so many options at 27. I also trust the Ravens to make a good first-round pick. Like I said, in recent years, the Ravens have hit on their first-round picks. You got Nate Wiggins last year, slam dunk pick, Zay Flowers, Kyle Hamilton, Tyler Linderbaum. I guess the Owe Rashad Bateman draft is, a little bit of a letdown in a way, but not really. They're still high contributing players to the Ravens, but they're not superstars. I totally get that. But I'm just saying the Ravens have had a lot of success in the first round, and I would expect this year to be no different. I mean, we're going to draft a future star tonight, and it's exciting, man. The NFL draft is always an exciting time. It's just getting started, too. We got the first round tonight, second and third round tomorrow, and then 4 through 7 on Saturday, and we have most of our picks on Saturday, so we'll see what the Ravens do. We'll also see if the Ravens are going to trade anyone. The Mark Andrews rumors have been flying around, but nothing really concrete, so we'll see if anything gets done on that front. Maybe it is already done, like Eric DeCosta said last week. He had the Hollywood deal done 4 days prior to the draft, so you never know what he's got up his sleeve, but I think we'll finally get an answer tonight or tomorrow whether Mark Andrews is going to be traded or not, maybe in a Dafe Owe trade, like whatever anyone's tossing out there, I think will be answered after this draft, because we're probably not trading any of these guys after this draft. Fireworks like this would come during the draft, and I don't know if any of these guys would get a first round pick, so it might not be tonight, but at least by the end of Saturday, if no one's traded on the Ravens, then Mark Andrews, Dafe Owe, and whoever else you guys think might get traded is not going to get traded. So I would say I'm still leaning towards that being the most possible outcome, is that no one gets traded and that the Ravens just draft their guys. I'm sure they'll move around in the draft a little bit, whether they acquire some future picks for next year or if they package some late picks and try to move up earlier in the draft. I would love that. I don't think that we need to draft 11 guys. We don't have 11 roster spots, and putting a bunch of recent draft picks on the practice squad is a recipe for somebody to get signed to another team, and then you legit just waste your draft pick. So we got 5 draft picks between the start of the 6th round and the 7th round. We don't need to draft 5 guys in those spots. So package as many as you can, move up as far as you can, or get picks for next year or whatever. But I don't think we should draft 11 guys. But I just want to come on here, talk to you guys before the draft. I will have a video out after the draft. So if you're up late, wanting more content after you're watching whoever's live and things like that, if you're up late wanting a video about who we picked and some highlights, and we'll deep dive into who the player is and what they're going to bring to the Ravens and whatnot, I'll have a video up probably an hour to 2 hours after the pick, just because I got to film it and edit it and all that. You know how it goes. But I'll have a video out tonight. I'll have a video out tomorrow night. I'll have a way too early draft grades after the entire draft, where I'll go over the entire class and give everyone a way too early grade on Saturday evening. So we got videos coming out after every single pick. So hopefully you guys are there rocking with me. The draft's an exciting time, man. We are adding an injection of talent to an already stacked team. But let me know what you guys are thinking about tonight. Who are you eyeing up? Do you have any different names in mind that aren't being tossed around on the mock drafts for realistic possibilities at 27? Out of the names that are talked about on mock drafts, who do you think makes the most sense? Who's your dream target for tonight at 27? Let me know in the comments. Appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Enjoy the draft. I will see you guys after. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens Flock. Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The Flock Rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.